We're surrounded by all these invisible rules that are designed to keep us safe. Ever think about that? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one you've probably never even heard of. But trust me, it's a perfect example of this hidden design that prevents accidents every single day. We're talking about the 25-foot rule, and it all kicks off with a really, really common problem. All right, so to really get why this rule is even a thing, I want you to put yourself in someone else's shoes for a minute. Just picture a service technician showing up for a job. Could be your house, could be a big office building, doesn't matter where. So, imagine this person is up on a scorching hot roof, or maybe they're crammed into some tiny mechanical room. They're there to service a big piece of equipment, like a central air conditioning unit. They've got their tool bag, they're all set to get to work. But then they realize something crucial is missing, something they absolutely need. Any ideas what it could be? It's a place to plug in their tools. Yeah, that's simple. A standard electrical outlet. And you'd be surprised how often it's not there. It's a huge pain, right? Without one, what are they going to do? They're forced to run these super long extension cords, creating all sorts of trip hazards and just wasting a ton of time. And that is the exact problem this little rule was created to solve. So where does the solution come from? Well, it comes from this big, important book, the National Electrical Code, or the NEC for short. Think of it as the ultimate rule book for all things electrical safety here in the US. Now, I know what you're thinking. A big rule book sounds pretty dry, right? Like a technical manual that'll put you to sleep. But it's actually not like that at all. It's really a collection of lessons. A lot of them learned the hard way, you know? The whole point of the NEC is really simple. Keep people and property safe from electrical dangers by using smart, consistent design. And that brings us right to the star of our show today, Section 210.63 of the NEC. This is the rule, the specific rule, that makes sure our technician up on that roof never has to hunt for a power source again. So, in a nutshell, this rule says that a special service outlet has to be installed near certain kinds of equipment. But, this is a safety code, so the devil is in the details. The code is super specific about everything, the distance, the voltage, and probably most important of all, how it's wired up to be safe. Okay, so let's break it down. There are basically 3 key parts to this rule. First up is the where. The outlet has to be within 25 feet of the equipment. Why 25 feet? Well, it's kind of the perfect distance, right? It gives you enough slack to move around, but it's short enough that you don't need those crazy, hazardous, super long extension cords. Next up is the what. What kind of outlet are we talking about? It has to be a standard 125-volt single-phase receptacle. Basically the same kind of outlet you have all over your house. This makes sure that any normal tool will just plug right in, no problem. And finally, the power rating. The outlet needs to be rated for either 15 or 20 amps. That's more than enough juice to power the heavy-duty professional gear that technicians need to do their jobs properly. So, you might be wondering, what kind of equipment does this rule actually apply to? Well, it's pretty broad. It mostly covers the big mechanical systems that, keep our buildings comfortable and running smoothly. We're talking about the real workhorses of a building, the heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration systems. You'll often hear this stuff called HVACR, but it doesn't stop there. The rule also applies to things like the main electrical service panels in commercial buildings. Basically, if it's a piece of equipment a technician is going to need to service, this rule probably covers it. And you know what's really smart about this rule? It actually adapts to the situation. So for those big AC units on a rooftop, the outlet has to be on the same level. That makes total sense, right? No more dangerous cords dangling over the side of a building or down a ladder. For equipment inside a commercial building, it just has to be in the same room or area. But check out this clever little exception. For simple evaporative coolers in 1 or 2 family homes, you don't need the outlet. It just goes to show you. The code is really focused on the most common and potentially riskiest situations. Okay, but like with any safety code, the real magic is in the details. The fine print really matters. And there are a couple of super critical nuances in this rule that are all about keeping that technician safe. So we've actually touched on the first one already. The outlet has to be on the same level as the equipment. That's just practical, common sense safety. But the second point, man, this is the most important detail in the entire rule. It's all about where the outlet gets its power from. The rule is very clear. It cannot be connected to what's called the load side of the equipment's disconnect switch. I know, load side sounds super technical, but what does that actually mean? And why is that one little detail such a massive deal for safety? Well, it's pretty much the difference between a safe workspace and a really, really dangerous one. Okay, let's make this simple. Think of the disconnect switch for that big AC unit as a power gate. The load side is everything after that gate. Now, if you wired the service outlet to the load side, what happens when the tech shuts the gate? Right, the power gets cut to both the AC unit and the outlet. That's no good. So the rule says the outlet has to be wired before the gate. That way, the technician can safely shut that gate, kill all the power to the dangerous equipment they're about to work on, but their special service outlet stays live. They can plug in their tools, their lights, whatever they need. It's just a simple but absolutely brilliant piece of safety engineering. And that really gets to the core of what this rule is all about. It might look like it's just about making a technician's job a little easier, but it's not. Fundamentally, this is about making their job a whole lot safer. A great way to put it is that this rule is basically codified common sense. It's about thinking ahead. It's about designing a workspace that's already prepared for future maintenance in a way that's both efficient and, most importantly, safe right from day one. So when you put it all together, you can really see why this tiny little rule has such a huge impact. It makes the job way safer for technicians because they have a reliable power source. It makes them more efficient. And maybe the biggest thing is it completely gets rid of the need for those dangerous workarounds, like stringing a tangled mess of extension cords across a hot roof or through a dark, cluttered basement. So yeah, the 25-foot rule is a perfect example of that kind of smart, invisible design that's out there keeping people safe every single day. And it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hidden safety codes and thoughtful little rules are built into the world all around us, just quietly doing their job without us ever even noticing? Definitely something to think about.